Hello and welcome to another episode of What's on the Pile. I'm Nathan Bezner, and with me is Jenner, Hsien, Jane, and Wagner. As always, because I don't even, it's all of us. Every single,
Mm.
Yay.
sometimes some of us, not always all of us, but right now it is all of us. This week, after weeks of me bringing it up, we will finally be discussing Benny Loves You, a ridiculous under-budget horror comedy about your most special toy coming to life as a homicidal monster that walks around like someone is just hopping him around like a toy, making it look like he's walking. It's a brilliant effect. Uh, Benny Loves You tells the story of Jack, a down on his luck loser type with bad career options and worse socializing. When he decides to become a man, he throws out all his old things, including Benny, his childhood teddy. But like the British meaning of teddy bear, like where they call everything Teddy because he looks and sounds like Elmo. Uh, Endlessly high spirited through repeated catchphrases, Benny stabs his way through anyone who shows any sort of affection or threat toward Jack. So, what everybody think of this ridiculous thing?
Or
Good.
animals, just animals.
Yeah, they should not have. They should not have killed, the animals. But I have to say, I was brilliant. I loved it. I suggested it to several people already. It was fantastic. Ta-da!
I
mean, center stage, the thing that steals the whole movie is actually the puppet action, because the puppet movement in this is what makes it unique, and it is hilarious and realistic for various terms of realistic. But yeah, it's a floppy stuffed animal being jounced around and then posed. And it really, was it okay? The secrets behind things. Was it rod puppeted and erased, or was it CGI?
I have not looked into it. All I know is that one dude did everything himself.
Really?
Yeah.
One guy.
Yeah, this was the as you had suggested. This was one of the shortest closing credit rolls I've ever seen. It was actually the second shortest because I have seen an amazing expressionistic animated feature called Away, which was done entirely, and I mean entirely by one guy. That said, this was an extraordinary feat of work by this dude, and it was it neared brilliance at times.
This dude's name is Carl Holt.
Carl Holt, that was it.
Has he done anything else?
He should.
He's
probably already started it, and he's still working on it. That's probably what's going on.
I've heard that people want. No. He did one thing in 2020, but that's it. He has two shorts before that. Then Benny Loves You, and then he does a segment in the Pandemic anthology. And that's
yeah, no, it's the setup is cliched, and the movie approaches gleefully stupid a lot of the time. But in this case, that's definitely the sort of thing where it's featured, not bug, because the franchise, the juice, is Benny doing Benny shit.
Yeah.
Which is endlessly
great too.
Yeah, the robot guy was great too. He was CGI, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I mean, he was definitely built more for CGI.
I feel like Benny was CGI. I feel like he wasn't in the shots a lot of the time. He was inserted.
There is definitely some CGI in here, and it is as cheesy as you led me to expect.
Yeah.
That's fine. One guy can only do so much, and in this case, cheesiness just adds to the charm of the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
The fight between Benny and the AIDS robot is
sorry,
an objectively amazing piece of work, especially for a near amateur.
Do you guys remember when we were talking about Slaughterhouse, and I said there's this one moment that felt identical to Benny Loves You?
The car drive.
There's that. For me, it's the backflip. in slow motion when he's like jumping over a weapon. The sloth does the same thing, and it I know they're coming from the same trope, but Benny Loves You just did it better because they knew it was stupid, and that made it badass, in my opinion. But I'm a connoisseur of shitty movies.
I see where you were going. If I had seen this first, I would have probably thought less of Slaughterhouse as well. I still love Slaughterhouse for this. Dude, people are dead, dude.
That was very good. Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about the movie. I mostly wanted you guys to see it and see what you thought. And
well, okay, I don't want to be that guy. Like I did admire the craftsmanship, and I mean, this guy obviously watches Edgar Wright. He was a fan of his style, but this could have been a short film or like a YouTube short. I found it hard. It didn't really keep my attention for the whole 90 minutes. I mean, this is a movie that isn't really interested in character work at all. I mean, by nature. And this just isn't really my thing, but I did admire how much craft this one guy put into everything, and there were some fun moments. I think it just wasn't for me.
No, and that's totally fair.
Puppet. I just like the puppet so much that I could watch and listen to that thing all day. It was I honestly think that was probably why it appealed to me so much. It was whimsical.
Whoever did the voices for Benny was a champ.
It was probably him too.
It was probably him too. It's not a hard voice to make, probably. I'm a little stuffed up. I don't think I can, but still.
Yeah, I was going to try and start the intro sequence with a quote, but I realized I can't do that voice. So, but I mean, I love the puppet. I loved everything about the puppet. But I do have two little things that I want to pick at the film about, and they are minor. One of them is just a trope that I've seen, which kind of goes along with what Hsien was saying, which is they had to pad this out by adding more plot, and to add more plot, you have to add something else going on. So they added the weirdly aggressive wants to be his girlfriend. I mean that is a.
That's definitely a bit tropey. I mean,
especially since her entire character is basically, I also had a doll.
Yeah, which
that's her backstory.
Did lead to a fun twist.
Her entire character is, I've decided I'm going to pick the weirdest looking guy in the office and fix him.
She's a fantasy,
Like you say, well, that's the trope at work because the guy is objectively a putz.
There is no reason this woman should be attracted to or pursuing this man, and instead we put it in there kind of to pad the film. If I was more of a cynic, I mean, there are a lot of one-man crew vanity projects who hire extremely attractive women actresses to be in them for less savory reasons. See The Room. But I don't think that's going on here, but it does feed into that trope.
She did turn in a terrific performance.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
She did not seem like she didn't want to be there. She looked like she was having a good time.
The was good, I think, overall.
I was expecting less of a real movie feel to this, from what you had led me to believe. I was expecting something a lot grottier. But the acting, however broad, was absolutely stellar from top to bottom. I mean, shout outs to Richard for just owning the absolute brat role.
He was so good at hating that I wish he hadn't died.
Yeah, he actually had a redemption arc. It was surprising.
Yeah, he did. He did have a redemption arc. But on a similar point, the other nitpick I have is that when our hero discovers his boss tied up in his living room, he very suddenly turns into a terrible person for about a scene and a half. Who is going to mock his tied up boss by making fun of his stutter.
Yeah, that did feel
great job, buddy.
There is definitely a little bit of mean-spirited here and there in this.
To me, it feels like a certain strain of British humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of felt cheap in that moment
Yeah.
because there was nothing in his character that spoke to that before then. It was just suddenly he finds himself in this situation. We've established that character has a stutter. So let's go with that. Even if it suddenly turns our protagonist into an asshole for a scene and a half, and then we're right back where we were again. But these are
Well,
little things, honestly.
well, as I say, when
I
things
love
are
the
going,
movie in itself.
so many people, when things are going well for him, he's okay, I guess. Uh, when he has an upper hand or a lower hand, he is, as I say, objectively a putz. You were saying.
He could have gone they could have gone way meaner in this movie. I think I didn't dislike this movie. I just wasn't into it. But if it had leaned more into the more mean spirit, especially considering how gleefully violent it is, I think I would have disliked this movie. And it does, I think, skate a fine line and not cross over there. It could very easily go over there.
It's weird because I think my favorite point in the entire film is when Benny is trying to get through the door that they've propped the chair up against. And then he just does the slow turn to the rest of the room of coworkers, and they're all frozen in position. And then carnage ensues. That was my favorite moment.
It feels like something I would have enjoyed writing in like 2006.
I thought you were going to say in 2 days.
And 2 days, yeah.
Probably how long
Just
it
knock
was.
it out. Apparently, it is based on the short version he did, which was Eddie Loves You.
One wonders why he changed the name.
Maybe one of the money people.
Benny feels cuddlier.
It does. I got it was a good choice.
Also, Eddie is assonantly just a little bit too close to Elmo.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's clearly supposed to be Elmo, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
it actually, the thing it reminds
Disney
me
owns
most
the
of.
Muppets now, so you don't want to mess with that IP.
You don't mess with the mouse. No. You do not.
The thing it reminds me the most of, I'm assuming some of y'all have read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Oh yeah.
Okay, have you read Squee?
Yes.
Okay. No. Do you remember the bit in Squee with Tickle Me Elmo?
God, I don't remember anything from Squee.
It was a 2-page bit in between the main storyline, in which it had like a series of 26 developing events that, it's point 1, activate Tickle Me Elmo to hear him giggle. Point 2, find his secret tickle spot. Point 3, Elmo begins to question the relationship. It descends quickly from that point. That was exactly what I thought of about midway through the film.
That's great. I the first time I watched it, I did not like it until I started describing it on this show. And then that's what started getting me to like it. So I watched it again, and then I liked it like a lot. I was cracking up through it. Amelia said, "You're laughing a lot more this time." And I think I knew to be in a goofy mood before I started.
So best approached in the right frame of mind. Yes.
No.
Did Amelia like it the same both times, or?
Yes.
She saw it both times, right?
Yeah. Benny is her favorite. She's so sad about the ending. I'm pretty sure they can bring Benny back if they ever did a sequel.
And his crew.
Yeah. It would be like it's weird. They could do Puppet Master with it.
I was thinking the same thing. It's like it's weird to be able to describe a movie as a parody of the Puppet Master franchise.
Yeah.
Puppet Master is kind of its own parody, but yeah.
That's why it's weird, Matt.
An unintentional.
Did anybody else see the most recent one?
No, there's actually been 2 since the one you're thinking of.
Oh, okay. The one I saw, the
one with Thomas
right.
Lennon. The one with Thomas Lennon.
I think so. Where there's a pregnant woman and the puppets like cut her her uterus open.
Well, don't tell me. I haven't actually seen it yet, but
it's a inside homage.
Yeah, the puppets dig out her forming baby because it's like pretty far developed, and kill it in front of her, then kill her. And at that point, I said to myself, "This is not for me." I understand that people like this sort of thing, but I am never going to understand this level of cruelty or violence. So I stopped it there, and I never picked him up again.
Yeah, I walked out of a movie theater for, was it Spike and Mike's cartoon?
Oh yeah,
where they had something similar to that. I was like, that's it, I'm done, I'm out, I left. That was it. So yeah, no, I can't.
Inside is better made.
Yeah, there's not a lot to there is not a lot to say about this movie. You either had a good time or not, and
it's on the same sort of wavelength as something like Mars Attacks, albeit with a massively lower budget. It's one of those things that is best appreciated as a series of sight gags and set pieces that are not the connective tissue stringing them together is best not terribly closely examined. It's there to cut away on a giggle. That's what it's there for.
Yeah.
This feels like, I mean, was there at any point where anyone thought that Benny was his psychosis? And
they definitely flirted with that.
They didn't seem to go that way.
No, not once.
Like, is this possibly? Because but just a little bit.
Not
well,
once.
with the opening with that little girl, it seemed pretty literal, I guess. So
yeah.
And you guys were okay with that little girl dying, right?
I loved the little.
She was horrible.
And her makeup on her eyes is just like black painted on right over her eyelids, so you can see her eyelashes, and they're not eye sockets. It's just that's why it's so quick.
It's cheesy enough to be low stakes.
Yeah.
Although props to the prop head, props. Props. Shout outs to whoever made the prop head for the realtor. That was a very, very nice piece of work. Yeah, there are lots of little incidental bits of charm just in the one guy pretty much did this, and look what he did here, and look what he did there. Look what he did this, in this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, I like when people really dig into their work like that and really make it their own.
Yeah.
I find it interesting when people do that, because a lot of auteurs you'll find a lot of auteurs heralded in Hollywood tend to not do as much of the technical work as an auteur should, in my opinion. I think that like Scorsese gets down in it. He'll get down with his editor, sit with them. He'll do cuts himself, take shifts and whatnot. That's getting into it. That's a good auteur. I can't think of an example or somebody to make fun of as an example who does the opposite, who just says, fuck it, I don't care what's edited. A
lot of those guys we don't particularly talk about anymore, but consider, if you will, the strange case of Hugh Hudson.
Okay.
Director of Chariots of Fire, Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, and Revolution with Al Pacino as an American revolutionary. That was the one that pretty thoroughly sunk him. But Hudson was the guy who famously insisted on getting the death scene of Rick Baker's Nala the ape costume / prosthetic as the first shot they used for that thing, where causing Rick Baker to have to be physically restrained from beating the ever-loving shit out of the director of Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, and continually having to repair the costume for the entire rest of the motion picture shoot. This is somebody who, and in the meantime, of course, the one that got the Oscar was a film about British fops running. Great score. Great score.
I've never seen it.
Nobody has. Nobody
have.
has. Not since frickin' 1982.
Yeah, that's probably when I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it has a great score. I mean, Ben Cross is a terrific actor, but I wouldn't know it from that movie because I have no interest in ever fricking watching that movie.
Weirdly, we watched it at church, and then after it was over, all the kids went outside and ran races against each other. I don't know.
To get them all. Did they run in super slow motion?
Well, no, but I do remember us all being rather hyped up. I wasn't one of the ones running. I was looking at him going, "Yeah, I guess
I remember the SCTV parody better, Chariots of Eggs. But guys with a spoon with the egg on it.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, that is good. That's very good.
SCTV was freaking brilliant. Hugh Hudson isn't a footnote.
Well, I'm going to suggest we move on from Benny Loves You and get into our movies because we all watched a whole bunch of stuff that we want to talk about.
It's been a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit.
So let's start in order of the way that I see the screens. Wagner in the upper left-hand corner. You're going first with your mountain. Because you bring visual aids, and I like that. Yes!
Oh,
yes!
Lord.
Good man!
Jesus.
Keeping the side up.
And
just remind me how much I've been slacking, man.
And here's the list of things I don't have physical copies for. So I'm going to go through this kind of quick because I don't want to be an ass and take the whole time.
We also might overlap.
What's that?
We might overlap as well.
No.
Okay.
Nothing's recent. So I had to fly to Sacramento, which meant that I watched a lot of films gripping the seat back in terror for a solid 4 hours one way and 4 hours back. Having realized all of the times I've said that I don't like the comedy stylings of, oh Jesus, now I can't remember his name, Step Brothers.
Will Ferrell?
Will Ferrell. I haven't actually seen his movies, so on one of the flights I watched both Step Brothers and Talladega Nights, and I barely remember any of it.
Oh.
I've water off a duck's back.
I love them both, so.
Yeah.
You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby. You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby.
I'm going to come at you like a spider, Monkey Chip.
Save me, Tom Cruise. Save me with your witchcraft, Tom Cruise. That was the only part I laughed, and that's in the trailer.
I like Will Ferrell when he's not the lead, and I like John C. Reilly better when he is.
I'll go with that. Although Stranger Than Fiction and Everything Must Go remain sort of exceptio probat regulam for Will Ferrell.
I have not seen either of those. I've been told both are brilliant, and I own at least one of them. I also watched Ford versus Ferrari on the flight. That is an absolute classic movie. I don't mean it's a movie that is a classic. I mean it is a classic movie.
I see what you mean, and
exactly where the story is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as all the characters are introduced, you know exactly how this is going to play out. There are no surprises. You're still entertained all the way through. It is a classic style movie, and it's one that I was absolutely thrilled to see because I thought I finally found a movie that I can watch with my father-in-law who loves this kind of movies, and he's already seen it about 10 times. So,
has he seen Ron Howard's Rush? My brother, who doesn't give a crap about racing, speaks very highly of that movie, and so I've been actually meaning to give it a look as well, because I imagine Bob being into a racing movie is a little like Bob being into a horror movie. It's an opinion you go with.
So Declan's favorite movie is Ford versus Ferrari. Do you know the Ferrari movie that's coming out with Adam Driver?
I don't know anything about it.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, Adam Driver is playing the dude.
Sure.
Yeah.
If he brings back the accent he used in House of Gucci, it'll be a good time.
He does. Yeah, he does.
I saw that
But
one.
Declan is so excited about it. I think it's more going to be like a drama, but there are all these awesome like shots of racing and going fast and whatnot and cars. So he's like, no, I'm going to see this. I don't care.
It's a Michael Mann movie, so
Yeah.
It is?
definitely for kids. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up before I.
Suddenly I'm back on the map.
Okay.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I just
It looks
I didn't know
good.
that. I didn't know that off the top of my head. I knew it was somebody notable, so I just looked it up.
It is
good-
genuinely good.
Apparently, he's doing Heat 2 next,
Mm-hmm.
so that'll be interesting.
Okay.
Interested to see how that goes.
I haven't read the book, but I heard pretty good things about it actually.
It's
Okay,
good to.
So after that, I watched Hsien, the Bone Woman.
Oh, I need to see that.
I don't know that one.
I am looking
Okay.
forward to that one. It's been on my pile for a bit.
Is it Peruvian? I meant to look it up before I got on here. It's Spanish speaking.
I forget
think it's
which.
Peruvian, but I'm not entirely sure.
You might
that
be
is an
right.
odd one.
Yeah.
So it's woman is having her first child with her husband. Husband is absolutely the most supportive, eager to have this kid person on the face of the earth. She starts seeing weird people stalking her in kind of a ghost-like, monster-like fashion. She has a lot of anxiety about being a mother. We introduce a lot of extra characters, including a maiden aunt who I'm watching this film. I'm like, I don't know all of the cultural signifiers, but am I being told that, oh no, okay, they are all lesbians. Well, that she used to be in a relationship with another woman who she runs into. That woman is going to take a whole bunch of their kind of punk collective up into the mountains to form like a little utopia society. Meanwhile, the monster is creeping up on her more and more, and it gets to the point where they have a exorcism, spirit journey kind of thing. And it is basically a symbolic destruction of her as a mother. And at the end of the movie, he leaves to go join the collective up in the mountains and abandons the child with its father. And the child has been around for like 2 months at this point. So that was a real sudden left turn, and I can see how you could make an argument for it, but to me there was a very strong feeling in there of she could not be two things. She could not be, true to herself and her sexual attraction to other women and join this collective and also be a mother. And it's
You're right. That feels sort of reductive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As in highly reductive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so that was a conclusion I was not prepared for coming out of the end of this film. Now, it could be that I'm misreading it. I only watched it once. I was gripping the back of a seat in terror at the time, so maybe I misinterpreted.
Yeah.
But that was sort of the cultural feel I got from it, and I'd be very curious to know anyone else's opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I've been meaning to see it. I haven't seen it yet. I'll try to fast track it. I've got a good chunk of South American horror piled up. In any event, I just picked up the Criterion release of La Llorona, which is Guatemalan. Okay. And apparently would play as a very good double feature with El Conde by all accounts. Political horror, in any case, or political supernatural horror, which is an unusual enough phenomenon in its own right. But Huesera is one of the ones that's been on my list for a bit. I'll try to get to it more directly.
Yeah, and in its original language release, it's just Huesera. I'm probably saying it wrong, but in English, they've attached the Bone Woman on it to try and make it clearer what you're in for.
Oh,
After that,
real quick, fun thing you might appreciate about La Llorona on general principle. It is, to the best of my knowledge, the first Shudder original to have a Criterion release.
oh wow,
Yeah.
I think there's more to come based on
Oh,
what Shudder's.
oh yeah. Anyways, carry on.
Okay, after that, I watched a fun little movie that I actually highly recommend, despite the fact it stumbles at about the 80% mark, which is Pinball: The Man Who Saved the Game.
Oh, been
Any
meaning
of
to
you
see
seen
that. Want to.
I think
Okay.
I think
I
I've
think we
seen
saw.
that.
I think we saw Tetris that week instead, and never got around to Pinball.
Okay, so Pinball, it's slight, but the point of the film is it's slight. It actually calls itself out at several points. Um, it is the conceit of the film is it's a man being interviewed. He was the guy who went in front of the New York City Council to rescind the ban on pinball in New York in the mid 70s. And he was attempting to show that it was a game of skill and not a game of chance, therefore it's not, gambling. It's an actual skill contest. But it's shot.
Which of course they were riffing on in Licorice Pizza as well, which of course we covered a while back on the show.
But it's interviewing the guy, and he is totally dismissive about the importance that these obvious fanboys of pinball are putting on all of this stuff. And it'll do a part of the recreation, and then it'll cut back to him. It's like, no one acts like that. Why would you do that? And sort of contradicting them midway. But the guy they have playing him in the 70s is this beanpole of a character who has, I sincerely hope that's not his real mustache. If that's his real mustache, it is one of the if that is not his real mustache, it is one of the worst applied stage mustaches I have ever seen. And
I remember that from the trailer.
Arcs outward from his lip, and it is faintly hilarious. It does stumble at the 80% mark because despite all this insistence that it's not like the profundity of pinball or whatever, they just turn him into a jerk for a scene and a half so that they can have more of an emotional impact at the climax of the film. And it feels forced and fake, and they shouldn't have done it. But other than that, the rest of the film is genuinely entertaining and pretty funny too. Just with their utter 70s-ness of it. I keep going, or does somebody else want to take a break and jump in and do theirs?
What did I watch?
I can do one more, which will finish all of the stuff I watched on the plane.
Okay.
Which I watched Paris is Burning. Do any of you know that?
Oh,
I know
yes.
That. Yeah.
Yes.
I know the title.
That was the drag ball documentary.
Right. So it's a drag ball of mostly African American and Hispanic individuals in 80s New York. And a ball is closer to a fashion, like an impromptu fashion show.
It's a pose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was remarkable to me in that if this had not been a documentary and it had been like a piece of drama or fiction, you would have called it the most homophobic thing you'd ever fucking seen, because it is to the nines with the drag attitude and approach and the voices. Everything you would assume that was a put on is in full display here.
It could be argued it's where the cliches came from.
That is what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was everything I watched on the plane. I will let somebody else go for a bit because I'm not going to be an ass and monopolize all the time.
Well, how many does everybody have?
Not much, like 5. Like maybe
I've got like 5.
Not even that.
I've got 5. One of them is 9.
I have 5 as well.
I've got like 9, but 3 of them are just cursory mentions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Jane, why don't you go?
Okay, real quick. I've watched. I've been keeping up with Loki, which is still awesome.
I haven't even started this season.
I need to start that.
Yeah, it's really good.
And
I finished. Our Flag Means Death. Oh,
Oh, I haven't started that season.
I need to get back to that.
It was perfect. It was perfect. It was beautiful. I loved every minute. The guy who plays Izzy Hands, that dude can sing. He can sing. It was good. Let me see. What else did I watch? Oh, I finished Hi Bye Mama, which is a Korean drama. I pretty much dehydrated myself in the last the last 5 episodes. It was just a cry fest, but I mean like a good cry fest. Like get it out there. I started one called When the Camellia Blooms. That was terrible. I quit it. I started another one.
Skip's in the chat,
Boys.
by the way.
Hey, Skip.
Oh, Skip. Skip.
I also started another one called Boys Over Flowers, which is like the first
based on the anime.
Yeah, Hana Yori Dingo or whatever. Yeah.
I watched 5 or 6 episodes, and I was absolutely over the. Honestly, it was like a rape fantasy type stuff. I know it doesn't make sense. I mean, am I wrong? I don't know. You've read it, right, Shane?
The anime was not like it was very. It was very cruel they were very cruel towards each other. I don't remember there wasn't any rape in the anime.
This was like her getting constantly saved by there were a bunch of bullies. There are 4 guys, the F4, and they taunt her, tease her, do terrible things to her, tell everybody in the school to do bad stuff to her. 4 guys try to rape her, and one of them saves her, and now she loves him. And then I was like completely furious with it before I was like, this is enough. This is enough.
That sounds familiar.
The whole thing, I would not let my daughter watch it. I would not. Or if I did, I would sit there next to her and go, you cannot make bullies like you by being quirky.
There's a specific term for this particular kind of thing in anime and manga, and I am forgetting what it was. But I was talking with one of my friends about it last week, or more precisely, they were talking with me about it. But
I was absolutely furious with it before I was done. I mean, some of the stuff they did to her was kind of funny. Like she was on a swim scholarship, so they filled the pool full of ducks, and that was cute. But I mean, other than that, I mean, they tripped her on her bike, set a chain across, tripped her on her bike. She fell. She was bleeding, and they set her bike on fire. I mean, she didn't have any money. These are all these rich kids, and they're all laughing and throwing stuff at her and throwing tomatoes and instead of putting the bike out with the fire extinguisher, they squirted it on her. Of course, one of the rich bullies is like, "No, she's my girlfriend now," and pulls her out, takes her to his house. And her parents were all like, "Oh, honey, you gotta hang out with this guy. You gotta get what you can." I know.
This sounds very progressive.
It was awful. I got really mad about it.
The anime is from the 90s. I saw it in college.
Yeah, my friend was bringing me attention to what they call dere tropes. Like tsundere or that sort of thing. The entire conceit of the trope, as they understand it, is you can't trust women to be honest with you about their feelings about you, so you need to wait it out until they say what they really mean, which is, as my friend observes, and I agree, 100% rape culture.
Yeah. And that's what this whole thing felt like. It almost felt like, I feel like girls do kind of think like, maybe if I'm just a little cooler, everything will be better. I mean, I know I probably thought that too, but I really disagreed with the whole thing. So we'll go on to a nicer thing. Just anybody with a daughter, don't let your
Good to know.
Don't let her watch.
Some of the older shoujo stuff had problems.
Boys Over Flowers. Do not watch it. Okay.
Hanayori Dango. That was
Hanayori Dango.
Yeah,
I think the anime was. They called it that in the fan subs. They didn't translate it. I saw it at college.
I saw a lot of videos come in with it, but I had no idea that was what the story was.
I don't think the anime was like. I mean, I only saw like 10 episodes. I don't remember. That
scene is familiar to me. I don't know if it was from that show, but I remember that scene vividly because it's kind of a turnoff to see rape and then be like have the guy rewarded for his wonderful actions and make it about him and whatnot. It was not a show for me. And yeah, I love Tenchi.
I've got a rapey one coming up, but it's not nearly as bad. I don't even know if I would use the word rapey.
I'll finish up real quick. Okay, because I want to hear about that one. But anyway, I started another one called Our Blues, which is like a Jeju Island thing with a bunch of people. It's very serious, but it's so good. It's so good. Maybe a little too serious for me. Then I had to. I was baking for Trey, and it was midnight because I had a house showing the next day. Yay! So I was like, what am I going to watch? Oh, no, wait, Bob was here. So anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. I was watching Don Verdeen. Anybody seen that?
No.
It's got Sam Rockwell,
yeah.
Jermaine Clement, and a bunch of other fairly famous folks.
I need to see that.
I think it was Jared Hess. The guy who did Napoleon Dynamite.
It was. And it was something. It was something. I think I quite liked it. Bob was quite taken by what little he had seen and said he was going to go home and watch it all.
Well, you remember he was the one who really recommended Gentleman Broncos to us.
Well, yeah, of course, the Gentleman Broncos was like they put the ad on it at the beginning of this. But yeah, Don Verdeen, it's about a paleontologist who is trying to get proof of the Bible, and like he's selling these artifacts to churches, and yeah, it's something. It is something. I won't really even get into it beyond.
So he's a bad paleontologist.
So is it like
he's
Pinky?
Not good. No, he found
like
one thing that was a remarkable thing, and then the rest, everything else, he ended up faking. You'll find out. It's
is it like finger bone of Saint Jerome at age 4, that kind of thing?
No, it's like skull of Goliath. With the rock embedded in it. How about Lot's wife?
He's a fraud.
Only Lot's wife has a little bit extra anatomy. You'll have to see it.
He's like those people they keep making the fucking Conjuring movies out of.
Oh, the Warrens.
Yeah. God, people love them now. It's like everybody forgot.
I still believe that their cinematic iteration has taken on a life of its own, independent of that, because the Warrens are scum, but I like those movies.
Do they get like money off of those? I hope
probably.
Not. Yeah, realistically.
I mean, it's not like they're doing much at this point. They're like retired and stuff, so
yeah.
Can't fault the people the living that they're making, I guess.
Unless they're scam artists and doing illegal shit.
Yeah, but they aren't actually doing that anymore, as far as I know.
You can fault them. You can fault them the living they made.
You can't hold it against me. I already did it.
If The Wolf of Wall Street is an acceptable film to watch,
I mean, I think
this is a bigger conversation.
I don't like watching. I don't understand. I don't like watching Wolf to Wall Street. I saw it one time. I understand it, and I was not a fan.
I freaking loved that movie.
I liked it quite a lot.
I didn't hate it.
It was just relentlessly entertaining. So you got to figure that guy's making some money off of it as well. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was just using that as a broad example. Actually, DiCaprio's done a lot of those. Like Catch Me If You Can, I suppose, ended up in the same boat.
Apparently, that guy made up everything.
Yeah. I don't really like Catch Me If You Can either.
It was just an example.
No. I think we're seeing a pattern here.
I think you're right. There's probably more. Well, it's possible you key on that directly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what I think.
Might be a broader conversation.
Maybe.
I am done. That's all that that's all I had really. I think besides I watched a bunch of John Oliver because he came back a couple months ago and I needed to catch up. But other than that, that's pretty much all I've done. So hey.
Hsien, do you want to go? Do you want to go back to you, Wagner? Are you ready to go again?
I could easily.
Yeah.
One of the trips I went on was to Atlanta, so I stopped by Videodrome.
Yay!
And spent way too much money again.
Yay!
Wilding. Don't know.
I like that movie.
Okay, haven't seen it yet.
Have I seen it?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always a good sign when the guy at the checkout says, "Look, I'll just give you this one," because usually he just doesn't want it in the store anymore. I don't know. We'll see.
What is that
You
title?
got it.
I
Promise
can't
and
read
Love?
the.
Thomas in Love.
Oh,
We should do
He
that
just
for the
doesn't
show.
want it. He just doesn't want it in the store.
Well, the last one he did that for was the Fukons, and he said, "I'm not gonna charge you for this because it's fucking terrible." And then I got the cook, the thief, his wife, her lover.
That's
Oh
a
my
good
God, that's one of
So
my
good.
favorites.
Have you
I
seen
Yeah.
it, Matt?
I have not been spoiled. I have
oh,
somehow not been spoiled. I
Man.
have seen the first 3 minutes of it once.
oh! You're a
and,
Greenaway virgin.
Yeah.
Are you? You haven't seen any Peter Greenaway?
Have you seen the Pillow Book, Prospero's Books,
Oh,
A Zed and Two Knots,
Nope.
The Draftsman's Contract,
Nope.
Drowning by
Apparently I haven't
Numbers,
seen Peter Greenaway. Nope.
you've
Belly
said.
of an Architect.
No.
I feel like you've said the really famous ones already.
Those were the famous ones. I don't think he's terribly likely to have seen the Tulsa Looper suitcases.
Peter Greenaway is a classic. What I guess I would describe as an impressionistic artist working in film as a medium.
Okay.
That's not a bad way of viewing that.
Yeah.
Sometimes more expressionistic than impressionistic, but still.
Actually, I think I misspoke. I actually think that's what I meant.
Yeah, his stuff is visceral as shit.
Yeah, but it's also very.
My wife isn't going to walk in while I watch this movie. Is it one of those movies or
certain part? I mean, it's a long movie. There's some safe parts, but is she a Dumbledore fan?
Yes.
She might have some issues with the movie. It's an amazing performance. It's maybe the most monstrous performance I've ever seen in a film.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's an excellent film. It was actually like one of the first two NC-17 movies ever to get that rating.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was right after Henry and June.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I also love. Actually, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. So
NC-17 had a moment there, but they never supported it any more than they did the X. So screw them.
Whatever. Anyway, it's excellent. I can't wait for you to see it and talk about it.
Okay.
I think I'll watch it again this week.
Moved it up in the list. Great. Go ahead.
Oh, I remember really liking that movie. I remember some things that happened in it that make me think that when I saw it, I would have a different impression of it now. Made me think that I might not want to watch it again because the movie I remember is it's very good, but there's just some content in there for me that is
it's a nasty movie.
It is a mean picture. Make no mistake.
But it's so well
It
done.
is so freaking gorgeous.
And the costumes and the way the costumes change color as they move from room to room is amazing. I mean, it's.
That sounds like something that my wife might want to watch.
But there is a lot of brutality, sexual brutality, nudity. They talk about a lot of very bad things. Only. Yeah.
There is a lot of wet work in the picture.
I'm not going to ask for clarification what that meant.
Yeah. Any sense in which you can conceive the word, probably there.
Okay.
Weirdly enough, despite being having on a quantitative level more nudity than any other movie ever made, including lots of hardcore pornography, his follow-up, Prospero's Books, is actually much tamer by comparison.
It's a beautiful movie.
Prospero's Books is an adaptation of The Tempest. It's unbelievably beautiful film. But anyway,
I saw that movie when I was 9. 10. I was 10. I think that was 90 or 90.
Well, it's not the salacious nudity, so I can see Lily absolutely loving it and saying, "Hey, kid, sit down, listen, watch and listen to this."
It's better than that. It was just on, and I was in the room, and it came, and it has that kid peeing into the pool, and I just started cracking up, and I was like, "Yeah, kid peeing in the pool!" I was so excited, and then I watched the movie, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this is actually really good." So I have fond memories of that movie.
Yeah.
Moving along to another great piece of cinema history, we have The God Monster of Indian Flats.
Yay.
It's about a giant mutant sheep, I think.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
And
Might have been a
yeah.
goat.
and then I saw this on the shelf. I'm like, I have to buy this. I have to buy
Yes.
this.
Hmm.
Why do
know
I
what that
have to
is,
buy
but-
this? I don't remember why I have to buy. Oh, right, Astron 6.
Astron goddamn 6, motherfucker.
Yeah. So I'm a big
Astron
fan of
6 Astron 6 doing a Dario Argento movie.
Mhm. I
That
remember
was with
hearing about it.
Toby Jones. Was it Toby Jones? Who was?
Toby Jones is
No,
in
no,
it?
you're thinking of Barbarian Sound
Barbarian
Studio.
That's
Sound
what I'm
Studio.
thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, which
What's
we
the?
did on the
Yeah, yeah,
show.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
We did
You're
on
right.
the show.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
no,
What is this?
This
one?
this is the movie that, amongst other things, posits that there is a particular pocket dimension that is only available to film editors while they are working on editing film.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
should be for you.
Does it have anything in there that you recall that?
it is a Neo Giallo. It is a funny as fuck, deliberately Neo Giallo.
Okay.
There is a scene where the passionate rogue cop has an extraordinarily lewd sexual encounter with one character that would be disgusting if it weren't so fucking funny. It's a riot.
If I was still doing a movie night, I would pair this up with The Censor. I haven't watched it yet.
I wanna
haven't watched
see
either
that.
of those yet. But
That would be an
called it
interesting
cutting
study in
film.
contrast. Yes, that would be a good
Called it
pairing.
Cutting film.
The censor is very high on my
We,
list.
we still need to cover Censor on this show as well. I still need to see Prevenge. I've had it for ages. I still haven't seen it.
Killing
A
for
woman-
two.
Yes, a woman who is pregnant, her unborn child starts driving her to kill people, apparently. I heard about it, haven't seen it. This is all stuff I
Sure.
just bought, haven't seen.
Hmm.
And I finally was able to get my own copy of Santa Sangre.
Mm.
Yodo.
Okay. That's my second tier. Why doesn't somebody else go now?
Second tier.
That was stuff he accumulated. If I were going with the stuff I'd be accumulating, I've got 3 bags full back there. But granted, I've been accumulating that just since I moved. But
That was just one trip to Videodrome.
that was one trip to video. It is
Right,
worth
and-
ballyhooing the stuff you can get at Videodrome.
Why don't we hear from Hsien next?
Okay, so I've been continuing to try to take advantage of my free Crunchyroll subscription, and I've been following a watch-along podcast and watched the first season of The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, which is interesting in a couple ways. First of all, it's chock full of sexual assault, what we would consider sexual assault, but it's funny.
Yeah.
That's
a theme this week.
Yeah, it's so the main girl, Haruhi Suzumiya, is like trying to get this club going, and she's trying to promote this club, and there's this hapless girl in the club named Mikuru who is gorgeous and stacked, and so Haruhi is constantly stripping her down and forcing her to promote the club. And at one point, she's stripping this girl down to force her into a bunny outfit or something like that. And there's another character who is basically Rei Ayanami. As this is happening, she steps into the foreground and blocks what is happening. You see limbs flailing. You hear things like Mikuru saying like, does the bra have to come off? Or like Haruhi saying like, oh, you've gotten bigger. Or Suzumiya or Mikuru saying, why are you touching me there? While this girl's just shelving books in the foreground. This is sort of a running gag. It happens all throughout the show. It somehow is funny.
It's very pre-Me Too. We'll put it that way.
This was like maybe 15 years old. But what else is interesting about this show is that apparently there's a big debate about what order you're supposed to watch it in. There's the broadcast order and there's chronological order. This watch-along podcast is doing it in broadcast order, which means you start with episode 25. Then you go to like episode 1. Like 4 episodes later, you watch episode 28, which is the last episode of the series. There's a debate as to whether or not the show is meant to be watched this way. You do hear things in certain episodes that don't make sense yet, but they come off more as foreshadowing or teases more so than just things that don't make sense because you don't know about them yet.
You may not have gotten to it yet, but watching it in broadcast order means you will hit a 2-parter, which is kind of a parody of a locked house mystery in which you
I have
watch the
seen it.
second half of that double parter first.
And there's also another episode you watch in between them for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an
And
interesting show. I did finish the first season. I don't quite get the point of it. Like it's interesting. Essentially, I think the conceit is that Haruhi is God, but she doesn't realize it.
It's in a
And-
formative universe, yeah.
Yeah, and everything she wants to happen seems to happen, and she's surrounded by aliens and time travelers and I guess espers, which in the show are.
Well,
psychics.
that would make the complete temporal asynchronality make sense, since ostensibly, if God exists outside of time and space, then God perceives all of it just kind of as whop.
Right, but all this is in the guise of a slice of life high school comedy.
That's what I've been meaning to get around to for ages, honestly. Just mostly by exposure from the AMVs back in the day.
This show is apparently enormous, and this is right when I stopped watching anime. I was talking to a friend who watches anime now, and he says, I've never heard of that show. I showed him a picture of Haru. He's like, oh, her. I know her. Like, so, I'm glad I at least got to finally watch it and see what the fuss is all about.
Harui was nearly as big as Ava.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That freaking.
Our friend Darius posted a meme or something on Facebook today that, amongst other things, was listing quote unquote old school anime that still were good, and it included like not just Akira, which I can almost understand, but frickin' Cowboy Bebop as old school anime. Damn it!
Sorry.
Poke.
I mean, I think the kids call 90s anime like grandpa anime nowadays.
Yeah.
Like if you're into Evangelion and stuff like that, it's like grandpa anime.
Yeah, there's a reason we're low viewership. We're not like cool, hip Gen Zers having.
I don't even know what the Zoomers are watching these days. I
guess it's not even. Are there like they're like 4 generations since then?
It's all Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Attack on Titan. I know those titles. I haven't really. I've watched a little bit of Demon Slayer.
My Hero
I like
Academia. Is that
Academia? Yep.
I like all those shows.
I haven't seen any of it.
It's weird, man. It's surreal. Is all I'm saying.
I used to know what it was. Then they changed what it was.
I'm lucky to have a window into that world with these kids.
Yeah, I was going to point out the fact that you actually have appropriately aged children to know about all that stuff. That's why we don't.
See if they can catch you up on the hip new Japanimation.
Trey might watch it, but there's no way he's going to.
Anything that you watch, he's going to avoid, and anything that he watches, he's going to make sure you don't know about.
Meanwhile, in my household, we have now watched the live-action Woody Woodpecker movie 4 times.
There's a live-action Woody Woodpecker movie?
Wow.
Yeah.
By all accounts, it was terrible. It was on Amazon Prime for a while.
Yeah.
I also yesterday finished Spider-Man 2 of PS5. Platinum
great.
Really fun game. The story is not as good as the first one. I feel like the story is there to create really cool moments, which it does. You have Kraven the Hunter and Venom as the main villains. Their stories kind of intersect, but they're kind of like slammed together. But you get the whole Peter Black Suit storyline. But it's really cool. You get to play as Miles and Peter. You pretty much get to choose who to play as most of the time, except for certain missions. They fight at one point, which is really cool because Peter's got the black suit, so Miles has to kick his ass. I won't say too much more about it, but
is it comics Venom or movie Venom?
It's different Venom. It's a different person as Venom.
I
won't say who. It's not Eddie Brock. It's I won't say who it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No spoilers.
I know. I have a guess now, but I'm not going to ask it.
Once you start the game, it's not that much of a stretch to figure out who it is.
Okay.
Well, fair enough. I'm just saying I didn't want them to mess too much with Let There Be Carnage Venom because I love those guys.
No, it's not that. It's its own thing.
Okay.
It's Aunt May Venom, isn't it?
Aunt May's dead. She died in the first one.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, they killed her. They got there first before the MCU.
Yep.
Woo!
I finished Disenchantment finally.
Yay! What you think?
I enjoyed it. Don't know. I forget what Matt was saying by the end of it. You didn't you weren't a fan of a lot of the characters, or I forget what you said when
No,
you finished.
that was me throughout. I don't like King Zog,
Oh, I
and
like Zog.
I don't like Elfo.
Elfo,
I don't think they're funny, and they irritate me. But that's me.
I like Elmo. That's disgusting.
I liked Elfo, but he became so dour by the end of the series. I know he's been through a lot. I'm just.
We in this house, I will still hear somebody call out, "I'm drowning," and somebody else will go, "I'm Elfo." So great.
That's funny.
Yeah.
In the moment.
But who are we allowed to talk about it now? Like,
is everyone finished it?
So everybody's seen it?
Yeah.
Cool.
We have.
I thought that having Elfo be his own assassin was probably the most hilarious thing I have ever seen.
I kind of saw it coming, but it was totally elegant.
It was still just hilarious. It was so funny. It just in this nice way in that they're tying in the whole cyclical nature of everything that's going on in their world and everything, and there it is right there. I love that the thing says "had enough." The little crystal ball. It's just like "had enough."
I want like somebody to make a list of all the signs you see in the background in the cities, like in Dreamland throughout.
No.
Some of them go by so fast. I catch one and it's hilarious, and then there's like 3 other ones.
I was pausing throughout.
They're all hilarious.
Yeah.
You're streaming and you pause, and like the screen darkens, and you get the bar across the bottom. You can't read what you were pausing.
Netflix was not a natural for that particular gag.
No, I've learned how you pause it and then do the back arrow once, and that gets rid of the line.
But just tap it. Don't hold it down.
I know this because I watch a lot of Netflix, and I have to rewind stuff all the time. But I also know that if I go back, I can also kind of read ahead what's going to happen in the K-dramas, because sometimes I get a little frustrated with how long everything takes, so I read ahead. So that's how you do it. Hit the button. Okay. Pause. Hit the back button.
Okay. Good to know.
And finally, between Saturday and Wednesday, I think, or Tuesday, I watched all 9 Saw movies.
Yes! I watched 10!
Wow.
I haven't watched one.
So on Saturday, my friend on Discord wanted to watch the first Saw, and I was like, I haven't seen that in a while. Let's watch it together, because it was on Amazon Prime. She hated it. By the end, she was like, that was dumb. But then it said, like, coming up next, Saw 2. I had no plans that day. I'm like, why the hell not? I saw the first one in the theaters. That was it. I liked Saw 2. Might have been my favorite one of the series.
It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I love
2 and 3 were really all right.
I really like the sort of escape room construct of it. The cop. I call it like there's always like an A story with the cops and a B story with the torture room. The A story was good. Then coming up next, Saw 3, Saturday evening. Why not? I have no plans. Like that one. That one was pretty good. Then I realized that they were all leaving Prime on the 31st. So I'm like, all right. Sunday, I'm like, all right, let's go. We're gonna do 4. 4, I fucking hated.
I don't even remember what happened in 4.
I think everybody hates 4. I've never actually seen that
4
one.
is my least favorite. I think there are 4 storylines going in that one. One of which is I don't even remember, but it's the one where. Well, I read a review of it saying somebody called it the Syriana of the Saw series because it is so convoluted and difficult to follow. I checked out. The rest of them, the only one I liked out of the rest of them is 6, because that's the one with the insurance guy and the merry-go-round. That was the B story of that one I thought was pretty fun. I stopped paying attention to the A stories, the cop stories, like where they're trying to chase down Jigsaw, who's been dead since the end of the 3rd movie.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't he dead at the end of 2? Or
they killed him and Amanda at the end of 2, or the end of 3, because James Wan and Lee Winnell didn't want to make 3, but one of the producers died, so they decided to dedicate that movie to him. Killed everybody and said, "We're done." And then they kept going for.
And then they hired Bousman. Yeah.
They're like, let's get Costas Mandalore in here.
Yeah,
Oh,
who
God.
like why?
Yeah.
He bothers me as the new Jigsaw because he just does not look like a dude who would be a Jigsaw killer. He looks
No.
he is not the type. He doesn't have the weird cunning and everything. He's not like
Mhm.
some bizarre. There's no oomph to him other than he's a big hulking guy that can beat the shit out of you. Like he's more like Jason.
I don't know why they decided to go with him, but yeah. Go on.
Yeah.
Zero charisma actor, zero presence. Anyway, and also, so the first Saw, partially because of budget, also probably because of artistry, you don't really see that much of the violence. They usually cut away or something. They really start lingering on the flesh tearing, and
That's when it becomes torture
I
porn.
started looking away at some of them.
I mean, it's one of the places that they came up with the term torture porn for.
Yeah. But yeah.
Wasn't Spiral freaking terrible?
Oh my God,
see, Spiral was mostly a story, which is the part of the movie I don't like. And also figured out that as soon as Max Minghella shows up, whatever, I was like, that's the guy. That's him.
Yeah.
That movie is so completely inexplicable that it even exists in the first place. I still have yet to get my mind around it, but it's just not good.
Yeah. In what world do you get Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in the 9th installment? What the hell?
And of course, you can't kill Samuel L. Jackson in a super weird graphic way. So let's just have him die by cop. And make that commentary, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've heard 10 is really good.
I've heard 10's pretty good.
Legitimately good.
Because
but I want to say it's the first movie in the Saw series since the first one, and even actually, even more so than the first one, that feels like an actual movie. Like, if that makes sense, it feels like a well-structured, well-polished, thought-out film that isn't this by the seat of your pants bizarre interconnecting everythingness. The twists in it come from a mile away, and they're done in very small amounts, and it is surprisingly respectful of the characters, and that you actually get Shawnee Smith back because she helps him, and so they have this really cool character dynamic that we should have seen in like a million movies ago. If
they've been dead.
Yeah, and that's the great fault of the Saw series.
It's supposed to be between 2 and 3, yes?
I think it's 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Directly after 1.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I think 7 was the one called Jigsaw, which is the return of Jigsaw, and then it turns out all that's a flashback. So
that one was the Spearig. That one was the Spearig brothers. I have a copy of it somewhere because I got it for like $5. I had been wondering if that was any good. I think that one may have been them paying their U.S. dues because
I think I liked that one.
I think it was right after that they did Predestination, which is freaking amazing. I
don't remember. I just remember out of 3 through 9, I liked 6 the best, and that's the one with the insurance guy.
Was Jigsaw the one where they had the chains around their necks and the buckets on their heads?
Yeah, I think so.
In the beginning?
At the very beginning, yes.
I think Jigsaw was the 8th one, actually. It was the one before Spiral.
Yeah.
Damn it. I have that on a rack.
I did actually enjoy that one.
I don't remember which one 7 was now.
They're out of reach.
It was Saw 7. It was like the final chapter or something.
And they're also convoluted. Like, they're unnecessarily. Like, who cares? Like, I just started tuning out.
Because they had a clever twist at the end of 1 that they'd one-up themselves with 2 and 3.
It's part of the formula.
Everything after has to be this grand soap opera it's a soap opera cop show.
Right, and they're all cut the same way, where they show all the events now from a different perspective, and now you realize they've been fucked.
I swear to God, at some point here, it's going to turn out that Jigsaw had an evil twin. It's going to all turn out to have been engineered by that guy.
Jigsaw, fancies himself a life coach, I guess. He's the professor who fails every student because all of his questions are trick questions. Every single time. It gets exhausting. I mean, I know it's a horror movie and you're expecting a twist. Every twist is like, oh, you were wrong all along and now you're going to die. Doesn't matter what you were trying to do. Just fuck you.
It does devolve into that, and that's what bothers me, and also what I don't like about Costas Mandalore, because it goes back to the original feeling of the earlier movies when Jigsaw maybe he had, like, people survive in Saw 10. And
okay.
And he, like, brings them medical kits and comforts them and shit, and more often than not they're traumatized and just want to murder him, so he kind of sedates them and just runs away.
So he failed. I mean, there is a survivors group in one of them. Yeah. It's like, who the fuck are all these people? You've killed everybody that we've seen. Well, except for Amanda, except for Shawnee's.
Well, they had to give flashbacks of how those people survived, if you remember. There was one random trap that was just a whole bunch of upended lawnmowers.
They ran out of ideas.
Yeah, it was in one flashback at one moment, and so I watch all of my movies twice, and I did that specifically with the Saw series so I could just finish it and stop having to think about that series anymore. So I'm having trouble pulling this back out because it's like all filed away. But on each of those I would also list off all of the traps, and if you look close, there's like a dozen traps in each movie. Just a lot of them you only get like a glimpse of for 3 seconds.
And clearly they're coming up with the traps first, and now pulling some tortured logic as to how this trap is going to be like a test of how much you want to live or of your moral failings or whatnot. It just gets really silly.
The first short film they did was just the reverse bear trap, and that's what they got the movie made off of. So they used that in one piece, but built a whole universe around it. And so that's kind of how it was born.
I actually have to revisit that series. One of my friends wants me to cosplay Jigsaw and Amanda at Days of the Dead in February. So amongst other things, I probably need to get back up to speed because I've never seen past 3 except for Spiral.
You're gonna need some latex to do the neck.
Yeah, they're all. I think they're all on Hulu. Anyways, I enjoyed watching all of them, even though I didn't enjoy all the movies. I enjoyed the experience of watching them. I had fun going through it. But I do want to see 10. I'm probably gonna wait for a rental. But
I'm gonna have to get a copy if it ever goes physical. Which, is becoming increasingly more suspect.
It's probably my favorite of the series. In that I liked it. I enjoyed it as a film by itself. It's the only one. Like, even the first Saw movie, when I saw the first one, I didn't like it at first, but then I saw the second one, and everybody's seen the second one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I haven't seen one at all. I've never seen a Saw movie.
Okay. There's this part where they all have tattoos on the backs of their necks, and
that was a good bit.
And there's a homicidal guy, and these people are like, "No, you're gonna need us. You can't. You can't read the tattoo on the back of your neck. You need to keep us alive." And without even breaking his eye contact with them, he reaches behind, cuts his skin off with the tattoo, and puts it in his pocket. Just casually puts it in the pocket. It is one of the
and destroy.
Oh my God! It's just the moment I was dying laughing in the theater. It was so amazing.
So what you don't understand, Jane, is that Jigsaw is a genius, and he predicted that the guy was going to do that. No, that is literally how the logic
predicts
of the series
everything
works.
that happens.
He is supposed to be such an incredible judge of character.
Even after he's dead, when he's dead, he pre-predicted everything that was going to happen for the next 7 movies too.
He is the shittier version of Pat Labor 2, where it was Pat Labor 1, where the villain kills himself in the intro, and his plan still goes on without him. Destroy the city.
That's a pretty good villain, though. One that can continue being effective after death, and it has not been brought back like Jason.
I mean, because Jigsaw planned his own. He intended to die at the end of 3. That was all according to his plan, and then you find out there's other layers of the plan 3 or 4 movies later.
I don't think he was trying to die by the end of 3. I think he wanted them to all make the right choices and everybody to live.
But later in that movie, perhaps, but later they retcon it so that he had done it on purpose to make it so that he could keep on going and have this whole larger plan. Anyways, that's
I forgot about that. I don't know. Those movies are dumb as shit, but I love watching them.
Yeah, they also retcon like why Shawnee Smith killed Lee Winnell. They retcon all sorts of stuff later on so they can have more content to keep on going.
It's a series that actively rewrites the earlier parts of the series, and unfortunately, the writing degrades, which means the whole series comes down.
Yeah,
and they got a really cool actor tied to the series, which I think is one of the major driving forces. And when Tobin Bell doesn't show up in a movie, it is felt. That series is him. And they need to stay. That's why they keep going back to the character. I think the idea of going back to between 2 movies is great. Just keep doing those now. Those are interesting. That's something different and new.
Segue the series toward interquels.
Oh, I have an idea. How about come up with an overarching idea of what you might want to do through if you have to make multiple films and do an ongoing storyline that you are aware of before you make the program.
Well, I mean, credit credit is due.
They never get past the first movie.
Saw was not a franchise until the 3rd one.
Yeah.
Saw was a movie that did well. They made a sequel that did well. They made a sequel that did well. They said, "Hey, we have a franchise."
The second one did incredibly
and then they hired Darren Lynn Bousman,
who's a sweetheart.
I like Bousman, but he's very hit and miss.
Yes,
sometimes you get Saw 4, sometimes you get a correctly mixed print of Repo the Genetic Opera.
I love that movie, understanding very well what it is. I think it's hilarious. It makes me laugh every time. I don't think that was the intention, but I am entertained by it nonetheless. The singing is hilarious. When Paul Sorvino sings, it's just so fucking funny.
I love that movie. I watch it while folding clothes.
Also, furthermore, if you've never seen the 2 Devils Carnival movies, those are actually kind of terrific.
They are.
No, I haven't.
Genuinely kind of terrific.
Oh, Wagner disagrees.
I saw the first one. I was not a big fan.
The first one was pretty good. The second one is actually really, really good. The second one is so good that it improves the first one retroactively.
Okay, it does a reverse Saw.
Anyway, I think we can move on.
It's Bousman on a redemption arc. There's an elegance to the design.
What is that? Is that all you got, Shane?
That's it. Yep.
All right, Wagner, you got some more for us?
You sure? I don't want us to drag up.
Do some more.
I'll try to be quick. Movie night with the kids for Halloween. Yay!
With one word that has to be
notable caveat.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was a handful of bad words declarations from the kids, and I think I achieved what I had hoped for, which is when the Wolfman gets blown into pieces all over the screen, all the kids were perfectly silent and they all felt like they were getting away with something. So like, we're probably not supposed to be seeing this. Also, on the actual Halloween, we did Nightmare Before Christmas and the original Disney Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, yay.
Cartoon.
Mm-hmm. I usually watch that too, yeah.
For some reason, in all of our going through the Marvel movies, the boys have been absolutely obsessed with seeing Ant-Man. Out of all of them, it's Ant-Man they were absolutely obsessed with, and we finally got to that, and they enjoyed it.
Well, okay. It's an enjoyable movie.
That was my kid's entry point, too. But I say entry point, but that was the beginning and the end. That's all they cared about. They don't give a shit about superheroes.
Really?
And even
enough.
These
Spider-Man?
kids do.
No, just
they-
my kids.
yeah.
They're just not into it. They like Amelia likes horror, Declan likes cars, and nothing else.
Okay. Scary movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which
How is that? I've been meaning to get to that.
Wait, what
Yeah,
scary
it is-
movie is that? What is that?
1986,
Scary
right?
movie.
Oh, okay. I don't
yeah.
know.
It is odd. It's a little it's a terror in a haunt movie, in that a Halloween haunted house of actors and all that stuff, and somebody gets trapped inside, and there's an escaped lunatic from a nearby asylum, and our main character is a stateless nerd fleeing through there. Very low budget. Only remarkable thing is that at the end, it turns out he's killed a few innocent people, thinking that he was being pursued by a killer, and the person who has escaped from the insane asylum was found like half a mile away picking flowers in a field. Absolutely not violent whatsoever. So
I love it.
It
I
went
love
for an
it.
ironic twist at the
Yeah.
end.
That's
very
great.
Very proto Tucker and Dale, except different.
Yeah, except much, much cheaper and not nearly as well written. Let's see. House of Clocks.
That was
Lucio
late
Fulci.
Fulci, yeah.
Actually, pretty damn good.
Oh, I had never heard much good
Clever
about
in
that.
its own
so.
conception. So, handful of crooks decide they're going to invade isolated rich elderly couple's house. Rich elderly couple obsessed with clocks and watches, and of course robbery goes wrong because they're assholes and screw ups, and both of the elderly couple get shot, at which point all the clocks in the house stop and start going backwards. And
Okay,
very slowly and subtly, the film rewinds itself, and the thieves are all trapped in the house. Their car isn't working, so they decide to spend the night there. They're trapped in the house as time slowly reverses, and it goes backwards and backwards and backwards, at which point the elderly couple come back to life, and so do who the elderly couple had just finished killing in the basement.
So do
and
their what?
Proteges.
I missed what you
Their
said.
proteges.
No. So do their what? What comes alive in the basement?
They're the proteges of the elderly couple.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. I get it.
Who also come to life in the basement, come up and take the house from the elderly couple and shoot and basically magically shoo the thieves out of the house, who then die in a ridiculous event at the end, which is a little hard to explain.
Fulci got a Fulci.
For a Fulci film, this is actually kind of self-consistent and pretty credibly neat.
Neat.
So
I need to get that's back on my radar now. I've been ignoring it for ages.
Hey, La Belle Captive.
Yes, Robbe, my man.
Yeah, don't know him. French art film.
One of the subjects of Cathal Tohill and Pete Toombs's famous early 1990s study of European sex art horror. Robbe was for a long time the most obscure of the bunch. That was one of his later films. But yeah, no, a very interesting fellow, both as a novelist and as a filmmaker. Probably most famous for Trans-Europe Express, amongst other things. But yeah, La Belle Captive was, of course, inspired by the paintings of René Magritte, which is an interesting enough subject to make a movie out of in the first place.
I don't know Magritte. I'm not an expert in painting. It is.
Ceci n'est pas un pipe.
It's the one with the pipe. This is not a pipe. Yeah.
Okay.
And the
that
apple in front of the face with the top hat.
But it's a very, very disjointed timeline.
Oh yeah.
Kind of a vampire story, kind of.
Yep.
Without explicitly being one. Actually, really quite good. Really quite good. That one.
Some wonderful use of the Das Rheingold in the soundtrack as well, which was sort of done, I think, as a lift from Herzog's Nosferatu the Vampire a few years earlier. Yeah, it's an interesting film. It's very late in his canon, though. De Palma.
Yeah.
De Palma Sisters. Never seen it before. Not entirely sure what I think of it. It's
I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
I'm
gotta love.
surprised you didn't strongly dislike it.
You gotta love Bill Finley, though.
I saw it when I was still living with my parents, so I may have a different opinion now. I remember.
I suspect you would, but I'm not sure.
I remember watching it, being like, and forgetting what happened in it.
I mean, it's just
I have a copy of
Hitchcock again, right?
Yeah, it's De Palma doing. I can absolutely see it as De Palma doing Hitchcock, except
with the misogyny.
Skeevier.
Yeah, that's kind of how that worked.
I feel like Body Double is pretty skeevy as well.
Oh, Body Double is extremely skeevy. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're all kind of skeezy.
Recall that the last
not untouchables, but
the last previous De Palma I watched was Dressed to Kill. So
also
very very similar territory in that film.
Not well liked in the
that was straight up transphobic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. It playing itself off as progressive also.
Yeah.
But okay. Speaking of disliked, so SuperCon.
What is that?
I thought that was fun.
It had moments, but I don't know. It's
game actors in service of a stupid plot.
Yes, very. But the setup is okay. A bunch of celebrities at a convention decide to rob the convention because the person running it is an asshole and
sounds great.
That
sounds like a fun movie.
It does sound great, but here's the thing: all of the characters that we are supposed to identify with, I think they were just riffing, and all the stuff they were riffing was really pretty offensive.
Oh.
For no good reason. There's one point where we demonstrate that the guy running the convention is an asshole because he pays the staff, which is a surprise to me. But he does it by like walking down a line with a series of envelopes and all right, you can have that one. And he gets to the end of the line and there's a little person there and he just decides not to pay him and walks off. And it's like, okay.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. And I don't know. It's really kind of contrived in that, and all of the celebrities in it hate being at conventions, and you see only the worst part of conventions out of it.
So it's people who haven't been to conventions.
I think so. And there's one point where they Clancy Brown is the villain. He is the ex-star of a 70. What's
he's
that?
the Shatner. No. He's supposed to be the Shatner.
Oh, he's the Shatner. Okay.
He's the Shatner.
He's supposed to be.
Clearly a Shatner, but there's a point where there is an actual Down syndrome actor who meets him on the stairs and says how much he loves him and, can I please get a signature? And he signs something and says, $20, kid. And he says, oh, my mom has my money. He says, okay, I'm just going to hold this. You go get money from your mom's wallet and then come find me. And it's like, okay, we're just being as shitty as humanly possible. And all of conventions are like this. That's what we're saying. So the only real saving grace is there is a point where John Malkovich takes Clancy Brown.
John Malkovich is in this?
John Malkovich is in it. He plays Stan Lee, sort of.
What the fuck?
He plays the writer of this.
What the hell movie is this?
I'm looking this movie up. Maggie Grace is in it. Mike Epps.
Ryan Quanten, yeah.
Of course he is. He only goes to cons now.
Yeah, it's kind of a stacked cast.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Are we sure John Cena isn't in it?
And there is a point. The main trilogy of characters are two assholes and one girl, and the girl is avowed playing for the other team. Except at the end of the film, she gets together with one of the guys.
Oh, of course, because
Now,
she
Yeah.
just needs a good
So-
dick to turn her.
now
It's
I have to
rolling.
allow. I had a good
Jesus.
time when I watched that, but it was at the height of the lockdown period, and I was drunk as fuck.
Was I
That
there?
probably.
Yes, you were.
I was drunker then because I almost remember it, but
Well,
I don't really.
This guy has worked with Kevin Smith quite a lot. I guess that's not
That
surprising.
makes sense.
So maybe he is a con guy. I don't know.
He's directed all of
Yeah.
Kevin Smith's like talk shows, like his sort of stand-up things. He directed all those. Evening,
It's not-
he directed all those.
The first review on IMDb says makes 100 minutes feel like 200, which I think is a great title.
That is, yeah,
Yeah.
that is a good way
Wow.
to headline a review.
I have never heard of this.
He
I
played
think there's a
Ernest
reason.
Hemingway in Tusk. I
was
don't even
in
remember Ernest
Clerks
Hemingway being
2?
in that.
He was in. Oh, is he part of the View Askewniverse?
He
Was
was
it
the
Mo-
voice of the Clit in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. He was like the
Oh,
altered voice.
Eh,
Okay.
wow. He's a
Yeah.
producer. Oh, he's a producer too now, I guess.
mm.
Yeah. He was on Clerks. He was the line producer on like starting Kevin Smith on documentaries. Okay, so he's a Kevin
There's-
Smith guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just. I
Well,
think you could
that
make a
doesn't.
pretty good. You could make a pretty good 5-minute clip show out of the best parts of the film, and then leave it at that, and just not watch the movie because it's both predictable and I mean, they're trying to offend you, and I think they might have succeeded. So,
Mm,
Mm.
and I'm done.
Wow.
That's it. I'm gonna
weird.
set the others aside. The others weren't worth talking about.
Oh,
All right. I'm gonna go before you, Jenner, because you got
All right.
9 of them.
well, no,
I have less.
my most of mine are actually really cursory, but go ahead anyway.
Okay. One, I went to see the first movie I've seen in the theater in a long time, which was Five Nights at Freddy's. Amelia is a huge fan, and she took me. I found the movie to be quite enjoyable. It's always fun to see Matthew Lillard. He's a welcome presence in everything. There are plot holes. They don't matter. The suits look amazing. It's very well shot. There was a point though where Amelia told me if this were Nicolas Cage, it would be done by now. And
How does it compare to Willy's Wonderland?
Willy's
what I wanted to
Wonderland
know.
is clearly the better film, and according to her as well as a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. But she did love this movie. I thought, as somebody who's only played the games for maybe an hour or two, it was fine for me. I enjoyed my time there. It was a fun monster movie for an afternoon. I would recommend seeing it. You don't need to see it in the theater.
Yeah,
You
I'm gonna
definitely
wait.
don't.
There's people in my Discord that want to watch it. I said once it's on rent or whatever, we'll do a group watch on Discord.
Well, it's already on Peacock. I don't
want to. Oh, is it like
it's a dual release, to digital and
Yeah, but
theaters.
is it like $20 to rent?
probably
whatever. Yeah,
as opposed to you could get a free trial for 2 weeks of Peacock.
But even then, you still probably have to pay extra just to watch
Yeah.
that. They did the
Oh,
same thing
yeah,
with,
that's
they did the
like-
same
like-
thing with
like-
Halloween Kills. They did the same way.
That-
Like
I
Disney
remember that now.
was doing that too for a while, right? They did that for a couple of movies where you had to pay. They charged 30, I think, for a simultaneous release, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, notice they don't
That's
frickin'
right.
do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, if you have Peacock, you can watch it at home. I finally got to watch a movie I have been dying to watch, which is The Blackening.
Oh, I wanted to see that. I forgot to watch that actually. I meant to
5
watch that during
minutes of it.
October.
I thought that movie was incredible. It was funny. It was very predictable. That didn't matter. The jokes were great. I don't want to say too much because I am clearly not the target audience for this film, and it is not my place to say whether or not I found something funny or not. I think, but I thought it was incredibly well done, and I would highly recommend it. The ending has one of the most perfect punchlines to any film I've seen.
Yeah.
I still want to see it.
I
I just love the tagline for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought it because I caught 5 minutes of it on the end of a flight.
We're not going to
that's the only
spoil it
reason I
for
stopped
you.
watching it. What's that?
But we're not going to spoil it for you. But frickin' watch
No.
it. Hurry up.
Yeah. Well, it's right there, on the shelf. So I think, unless there's something particular about this, I think it might not be your place to say whether it's profound or significant, but I would think you'd be able to say if it was funny.
Oh, it's
Okay.
funny.
Is that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I try to.
Humor should be like instinctual. That's like saying it's not my place to say if this is scary.
Well,
If it scared you, then it's scary.
There's also a character in it, Dietrich Bader.
Okay.
You know what? I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I'm
there may
half
be something about it that I'm not getting.
I'm half referencing to him. You will understand why when you see it.
Okay.
It's great. It's a great movie. I recommend it to everybody. I don't have anything to say about it other than watch it so we can talk about it more in depth after you've seen it.
Can we make it for next week? Because I haven't seen it either.
And you have access to my Voodoo, which has it on
Excuse me. Thank you.
it.
Yeah, maybe.
I also had a recommendation for next week too. We could talk about it
we'll
after
get to
we're
that.
done.
Okay.
I was flipping around Tubi and saw Hell House LLC 2, and realized I had only seen the first one, and I always meant to see the sequel because the first one's actually pretty good. Hell
It's
House
pretty good.
LLC is. Yeah, it's a fun found footage movie. It has a couple of scares in it. The characters are all assholes you don't give a shit about, and so it's a lot of fun. The sequel is an abomination. Just so bad. 90% of the film is shot against green screens, and this means exterior shots of the hotel, where
Which
it's
is not
just
how you do a found footage movie.
all it is. Yeah, it's a reporter talking in front of this, what is clearly a picture that has been put on there and has been tracked to move because they move at different rates, and it's an amazingly low budget, terrible film. Everybody in it is the dumbest person I have ever heard of. Like, I can forgive them for the first movie because who would really think this haunted hotel would actually end up being a murder hotel? Like, but now it is. Like, it's on tape from the first one. Everybody knows people got fucking murdered by ghosts in there and like hooded people, and there's a giant demon wall. People saw this shit. So they have a whole bunch of stories about it. They tell the story of this one couple, these two dudes who were trying to help a woman who was hitchhiking, and they bring her back to the hotel, and she runs in, and they're like, she's not in her right mind. We need to help her. And they go in, and within 30 seconds of them coming in, they are dead, just gone. So, after they show all this footage and they say, we don't know what ever happened to the previous people, these people get together, this reporter and this fucking dude whose friend died in there, and they say, well, we really need to get in there. We'll be in there an hour tops. And they say that, an hour tops. An hour. You just watched two men die in 30 seconds. What? What? There's no safety there. You walk into the place and you're dead. Who's gonna do that?
It's like it's like one of the houses from The Grudge.
Yes. You walk in, you are dead. There's nothing you will be able to do. There's nothing, but the worst part is the ending, because the last 20 minutes of the film no longer become a found footage film. They get like the main bad guy ghost of the hotel who like runs the hotel, who gives a 20-minute exposition about how he calculated how he was going to get the three people that are in the house to get them, or 4 people to get them in the house, and that they fell for every ruse he had along the way. You know what his ruse was? It was to pretend he was the mayor on local television, pretend he was the mayor, not get noticed physically, and then just kept saying, "There's no ghosts, there's nothing to worry about." And
well, clearly he's like a jigsaw level genius here.
It is the most.
Or he's surrounded by really, really stupid people.
I really want to watch the third one now because I need to know what happens. But my friend Jamie watched.
You may have accidentally sold me on the second one. I have to tell you.
My friend Jamie watched the fourth one and called me, and he was like,
"Four?
Yeah," and he was like, "Have you seen these Hell House movies? Because god damn, they are bad." Like he had to call me and talk to me about it like a support group. Oh my god. I'm gonna watch number 3, I promise. Anyway,
and you're gonna watch number 4 after it.
Yeah, yes, I will. Yes, I will. In fact, Amelia watched the second one with me. She thought it was so hilarious. She watched the first one, which actually scared her, which she really loved. She was like, "That actually scared me. Let's watch it again." And but moving on. We did our annual Halloween tradition of watching Trick or Treat. Still holds up.
Yay.
Still brilliant.
Yeah.
Amelia, it was her introduction to it, so she loved it.
Awesome.
She kept telling me at the beginning of the movie that there's no way Sam was ever going to replace Pennywise as the cute horror icon of her choice. And as we got through the movie, and this cute little child.
Wait, Pennywise the clown?
Yes, she thinks he's adorable. Yeah, which
one? The Tim Curry or the?
No, the new one. Bill Skarsgård. She thinks he's cute and fun and hilarious, and she's like, "I would be with Pennywise," and yeah, she loved it. It was great. I enjoyed watching it again. It's a great movie. It holds up. Everybody knows that. The last thing I got is Amelia is obsessed with found footage movies, so that's pretty much what we've been watching. In fact, she's seen some I haven't. She watched Host and damn.
At
the End of the World. No, the At the End of the World. It's a long title. It's like we're all going to the fair.
We're all going to the World's Fair.
That's it. And she watched that, and she made it about halfway through and said it was awful.
We're All Going to the World's Fair is not much of a movie. Host is freaking amazing.
She loved it. She said that it's very good. She really liked it and said I should watch it.
You might want a pre-screen dash cam before you watch that. That was Savage's next movie.
I'm telling you, she's pre-screening for me at this point. Like, she watched Skinamarink without me because I heard that I need to avoid that movie like the plague. And she was like, "I'll watch it to make sure." And I said, "There's nothing really that terrible sounding in the parents' guide. It just sounds like emotionally it would be battering." So she watched it and she was like, "Yeah, don't watch that movie."
It's upsetting in a very particular register.
Yeah.
I think you should destroy this tape.
Anyway, we made a call. We watched a trailer and decided to watch the movie of #Chad Gets the Axe, a found footage movie about Gen Z Zoomer streamers who are douchebag assholes who do things like be ninja pranks. They'll run out in ninja costumes and smack pizzas out of people's hands. And so they do everything for likes, and they're really popular, and they try to get a whole bunch of views. So they decide to go to this murder house and live stream it to everybody. And it obviously goes very, very wrong pretty fast. But this movie is simultaneously one of the funniest movies I've ever seen and incredibly profound. the way they do it.
Really?
The entire thing is done from the perspective of phones, which means they get all of the graphics, they go to computers, everything is done from a screen, so that's the perspective you see it from. Every possible screen that you would use in life now. And they all have their different things they're trying to do, and they're all competing with each other. They're not really friends, they're like business partners and just trying to make money. And it is a fascinating breakdown of one particular character, Chad, and it's a fun. It uses a lot of horror tropes to its advantage in very funny ways and unexpected ways. So I really recommend this movie. I thought it was ridiculous.
Where is it available? Because
I rented it on demand on Prime.
Okay.
Prime.
Prime. Okay, because that one hasn't actually come across my radar yet. So
It's-
okay,
I've never heard of it.
It has
Yeah, me neither.
it's an award-winning film apparently. It did really well at like Fantastic Fest and stuff, so
awesome.
it's legit.
Well, okay.
I had never heard of it. I watched this trailer, and when there's a scene where this guy, Spicy Dave, who wears a spicy hat and has his like spicy followers or whatever, he's with Chad, and on his live stream, he says, "Okay, 400,000 likes. I put the spicy hat on that dead body because there's a dead body hanging in the attic that they have just discovered. And this is what they've decided to do with it. They run over and put the hat on it and run back and get their followers, and they're just cracking up and thinks it's so hilarious and everything. And it's a funny scene. It's a really well done scene. It had me cracking up. It's in the trailer, but my favorite line is, oh God, what did he say? Fuck you, Devil's Manor. 0 stars. Would not recommend.
Okay, I have to give this a look.
I actually seem to care about this. I think I might like to watch it too.
It's fun. I hope I haven't built it up too much because I'm really excited about it. It made me laugh so much.
Yeah, I don't think you built Benny Loves You up as enough because that was so much better than I expected. So
if Amelia is on a found footage kick, Deadstream is nothing, which is a Shudder original, is nothing terribly monumental, but it's a lot of fun.
Okay, I don't know that one. Let me write that down on.
It's about someone trying to save their vidcast.
Yeah, it's got a good cover art.
Yeah,
I need to get.
Yeah. And as I say, Dashcam is the movie that the guy who did Host did afterwards, but before he sold out to do The Boogeyman. Dashcam is a fearsome piece of work in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I have heard things about that movie that have made me wary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I there's lots of stuff in that movie I still don't know how to feel about it. Like the political leanings of the protagonist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it for me. I think, yeah. So, yeah, we're on to you, Jenner. You're the last one.
All right. Like I said, I don't know that I don't know that I have anything quite that profound. At the beginning of this last round, not this last weekend, but the one preceding, I went to made it up to Monsterama, a little sort of they call it a retro horror con up on the north side, where amongst other things they do most of their screenings on 16 millimeter. So I had the great pleasure of seeing 16 millimeter prints of Shadow of the Vampire. Yeah, Malkovich, Willem Dafoe holds up. If anything, I think I liked it more than I did the last time I saw it, which was actually a while ago.
I need to rewatch that and show it to Amelia.
Star Trek VI, introduced by the con's guest of honor, one Nicholas Meyer, which was actually pretty cool. And finally, the original U.S. theatrical version of The Wicker Man, which was interesting to see on film. The refrain that I kept, because most of the con staff were actually very personable, including the people who volunteered for like providing film and that sort of thing. The refrain I kept coming back to was, "How much did that cost you?" Like The Wicker Man was actually got that a steal. It was a little faded, but he still somehow managed to get it for $350. The Shadow of the Vampire was after films ceased to fade and very late in that cycle anyway, so that one cost the dude $1,000. But that's still actually a relative bargain by current standards. So that's kind of neat. Finally managed to catch Totally Killer, which absolutely lived up to Nate's recommendation. That movie is an absolute delight. And of course, because it's on Amazon Prime, it's free for, I assume, pretty much all of us. So highly recommendable, a great deal of fun. Kiernan Shipka is, well, once again, a champ. I'm trying to get the less interesting stuff out of the way directly. Of course, Invincible came back, which I'm not going to talk about the return aside from Invincible is back, but they also have a one-shot kind of Atom Eve origin story, which is a pretty good story in its own right. So good stuff, retains a high quality. Lower Decks finally finished their fourth season, and again remains an absolute joy. No spoilers. Ain't saying Dico Suave. Let's see. Saw The Black Demon, which is more interesting than it should be, as the other giant shark movie that came out earlier this year. It's the one with Josh Lucas and his family on an oil rig.
No, I don't know what that is. No, I was thinking about an oil rig movie, but realized that it was a different language.
Oh, that was The Rig. That was also on Amazon Prime. I saw that earlier this year. That was odd. Left off on a cliffhanger, and I don't know if there's going to be another season, so I don't know how I feel about that.
I'll skip it.
Read up other opinions, but so The Black Demon was kind of interesting, not least for, unlike the Meg movies that it was kind of a direct counter shot to, actually having a point. It's an ecological parable. Suffice it to say, the shark is not just a shark, or is it? But in any case...
Oh, that's the one with the giant... Okay, that looked really interesting. I remember seeing that trailer now.
It's actually kind of interesting.
Okay.
Not super profound, but if nothing else, like I say, you have nothing to lose except time. Finally caught Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which I really like that series. I know that Nate and I were talking about it a little bit earlier this week. As I have to go back with, Tom Cruise is a fantastic actor. The only times that movies really get in trouble with putting Tom Cruise in them is when they tell him to play Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise as a person is a creepy little shit. That's why Vanilla Sky didn't work. But the Mission Impossible franchise actually remains sort of consistently fascinating. I mean, it's absolute hooey, but as kind of a feat of world building, it's something that you don't normally get in spy work stories, except out of much more sedate material like Jean Le Carré or that sort of thing, or the Apple TV series Slow Horses, which is a ton of fun, mostly for Gary Oldman as a completely exhausted MI6 burnout. That has a new season coming out relatively soon, and I don't know how you feel about spy movies. It's a fun one. It's funny.
I like Fallout. Wait, was that the last one, Fallout?
That was the last one before the current one. Yeah. Dead Reckoning, I think, one, actually earns being a movie in its own right, but also, earns a guaranteed sequel. I thought it was one of the best of that series.
Part 1, I would say.
Well, they've already changed the title. They're saying Part 2 is not going to be called Dead Reckoning Part 2. They've already announced that. They haven't announced what the actual title is going to be, but for some reason, the suits decided people don't want to see Dead Reckoning Part 2 or whatever.
I don't think it made as much money as they were hoping to, which is a pity because I thought it was a really good movie.
Well, it came out right before Barbenheimer, right? Or right around that time?
A little bit before, yeah.
But the question I have to know is, did they say the name of the movie in the movie?
Yes, they did. Well,
it is a Mission Impossible, a Dead Reckoning.
They never said Part 1, but the phrase Dead Reckoning did come up, though. They never actually say Mission Impossible. They make references to impossible missions.
Go in and fan edit in the Part 1 after they say Dead Reckoning.
I didn't like the first movie. I watched some of the second movie and really didn't like it and never revisited the series. That's where I'm at.
I like the first movie, but the first movie is the most populist of De Palma's movies I actually like. All of the other De Palma movies I like are his weird shit that is misogynistic, amongst other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that either, but it is what it is. Yeah, I know, right? That's one of the less misogynistic ones.
I like The Untouchables.
That's the thing, is that's one of the populistic movies. I don't give a flying syrupy shit about The Untouchables. It's not an interesting movie to me.
I like
great.
That movie. It's an action movie.
It's well acted. It's well shot. For some reason, I always found it muted. It would have been better if it was Francis Ford Coppola. In fact, I'm not sure it's not. In fact, I'm not sure it's not actually Francis Ford Coppola. It has none of De Palma's personality. For better or worse, De Palma's personality is the thing I find most interesting about his movies, and is the one that is least present in his most popular movies. It's a paradox. Anyway,
I like that movie.
Yeah. The second Mission Impossible was an objectively bad movie. Of course, that's coming from me, who has my own biases, because it's basically a remake of Notorious, the Hitchcock movie, and I freaking hate Notorious, the Hitchcock movie. It's a movie that's populated exclusively by varying degrees of asshole, which makes it unusual for those years, but it doesn't actually make it any more enjoyable to watch. The third one is actually really good.
Wait, are we going through each one?
No, I'm just saying the third one's really good, and they're really good from there on in. So if you tapped out at number 2, you tapped out at John Woo's worst movie.
Yeah.
I'll
never forgive it for making Jim Phelps evil, because I was a big fan of the show, and I'm stringent like that.
That is a fair hang-up to have as well. Anyways, leaving that aside, the other thing that I was going to talk about, or actually 2 more things on the list real quick. I am the guy who liked The Exorcist Believer.
Yeah, yes.
I actually found it very compelling. I am interested to see if they actually continue that trilogy, because I'm wondering if David Gordon Green is going to do kind of like he did with the Halloween movies, in that he not only manages to emulate the structure of the original 3, but manages to emulate the critical response to the original 3. I will be interested to see if he manages to riff on Exorcist 2 and what that ends up looking like. I will be really interested to see if he ends up making it to something on the order of an Exorcist 3 riff. But in the meantime, the film has some interesting ideas. It manages to get away from the Catholic-centric view of exorcism, which is, depending upon your view of that, either an interesting thing for the film or kind of a bad idea in the first place. It's going to be by its very nature. I mean, it's inherently children in peril, and very, very children in peril. It's going to be one of those things that is going to be very individual mileage. That said, I quite liked it. I found it quite compelling. It was beautifully acted.
You've made me want to see a movie now where they have all the people getting together saying we need to have an exorcist, but everybody's different religions. And so they're like, well, no, we're going to do this the Catholic way, like all exorcisms are done. Somebody else like, well, we're Presbyterian. We don't do it that way.
It's not just a multi-denominational, but a multi-religious exorcism.
And that's what I want. I want everybody to just argue about it and nobody to get it done. And the demon just sits there for the entire film and smiles.
Almost happens.
Okay.
That would be a fun movie. That is actually a good idea.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
I didn't have.
For some reason. For some reason, I picture that movie as that movie "It's a Disaster" with David Cross, like that kind of movie. Just people like at dinner trying to figure this out.
That would be really interesting as an exorcism movie.
I was saying it sounds like the Shin Godzilla movie of exorcisms.
Yes.
You see, that is a good idea. Arguably, it may be a better idea than anything in the movie, but I still found it fairly compelling. I did not find it as compelling as the first season of the TV series, I have not gotten past the first episode of the second season of the TV series, but that first season of that TV series was actually really good.
Which TV
The
series?
Exorcist, The Exorcist TV series from a few
I
years
still never saw it.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
I've heard good
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
I hate starting things that I know don't finish.
Well, no, the first season actually finishes. I don't know about the second season though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Leaving that aside, last thing that I caught recently was Nimona.
Yes.
Absolutely loved. I mean, on the one hand, every single beat was absolutely predictable from the get-go, but that's not the point.
Mm-hmm.
Still an absolutely beautiful work. Funny as all hell, and just kind of a beautiful parable for queer identity. I'm a little dodgy on aspects of the finale, but it's all right. It's all right. It's a beautiful film. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was about the extent of it. Forgive me if that ended up a bit anticlimactic.
Was that the last movie?
That was the last one.
Oh shit.
Oh wow.
Okay. Well, let's talk about what we're watching next week.
Surprise.
All right. Shane had a suggestion.
Well, the new David Fincher drops on Netflix in 3 days. So that
Oh
was
hell yes.
mine.
Okay. I
What
want to
is-
see that.
what is
The
that?
Killer.
The Killer.
Oh, I do want to see that.
Yeah. It's not a remake of the Chow Yun-Fat movie. I
That
know
would
that
be amazing if Fincher
I know
did
that- I know that Fincher was actually briefly attached to that back in the 90s.
This
that
was written
didn't-
by Andrew Kevin Walker, apparently, which I just now looked at and saw.
Yeah. author of course of Seven and Sleepy Hollow for our less film savvy viewers out there. Skip, I hope you're still with us.
I think he left.
Oh, probably got home. Anyway, anyways, I would be absolutely down. It's been a while since we've done an immediate new release. I'm kind of for that.
I'm good with that.
Wait,
Okay.
well, we had another one too, right?
We were thinking of the
Remember it?
blackening.
Oh, what was
that's
he?
it.
You were thinking of the
Blackening.
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 Or Chad gets the axe.
If
Ooh.
I would, Chad gets the axe costed, yes.
Chad gets the axe did cost.
Well, how
let's
about
see.
we put those two on, because we're going to look for something the next week and the next week.
That is
Yeah.
true.
File those
Let's
on the
watch
pod.
all three of
Put them on
them.
a list of some sort.
I like the idea of the killer
Spreadsheet.
just for once for a while now. We're actually getting to something fairly immediate.
I think maybe the last
Yeah.
time we did that was with Fincher's last one, maybe.
Yeah,
We did
was
Mank.
what?
Mank, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't there. At the
I mean,
time.
we might have done
Well,
something in between.
Wait, I
That's the
think
last one
we
remember.
had Godzilla versus Kong right when it came.
Oh yeah,
out.
we did that too.
yeah.
That's right.
Oh, I wasn't on that one either.
I think we actually got to Mank a bit later.
We did. It was a couple
Mank-
weeks.
Mank had been out for a
But
while when we got to
It was new for us.
Well, okay, there was.
Yeah, it was new
That's
enough.
the whole point of the program.
Yeah. In fact, oh no, he's still here. And
Hey, Skip.
Oh,
he
hey.
says
Skip.
he says great show. Thanks, Skip. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good with Fincher. And whatever else you guys want to watch.
Right on.
I need to rewatch Zodiac because I watched it once and I liked it, but now it's sort of had this. Now people are talking about it as like an all-time great, which I'm not saying we do Zodiac, but I'm
I
just
was
saying.
going to say, did you see theatrical or director's cut? Because the distinctions are fairly subtle, but the director's cut definitely seems to get more sort of footing under it.
I like that movie a lot, and I
like that movie a lot.
probably won't watch
I
it
do
again.
It's a lot of movie.
It feels like a slog to me in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I like the movie, but it's a lot to
it's-
wade through, and it's long.
It's one of those very particular phase of the moon kind of movies,
Yeah. Was everybody else? I was just like, yeah, sure, let's do Fincher. Everybody's cool with that?
I'm good.
All right. All right. Well, I'm gonna send us to bed. That's gonna do it for us here on What's on the Pile. Thanks for joining us, Skip. We love having you here and getting to talk. And I hope we've made your ride home more pleasant.
That was just a guess. I think he may actually be home. If he's still there, he was probably home the whole time. Anyway.
Home the whole time.
Well, even when he's driving home, we wish him Godspeed.
Yeah.
Podcast was coming from inside the house.
All right. We'll see you next time.